Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Swagging On with Swagger Gaming. If you haven't already seen it, check out the intro video for this series to get more information about me and the series in general. The link will be located down in the description. I also wanted to go over a few changes in the format of these videos. The plane paths and circle spawn locations seemed unnecessary as they were kind of random. So I'm removing most of that information and going a bit more in depth on the loot location and spawn rates. In this video, we'll be looking at Stalber, which is located at the northeast side of the Erangel map up on top of a mountain. Because of the high elevation, your range from the plane path is smaller than most places on the map. This lends itself to having a slightly higher average of 2.5 enemies per drop. There are two main car spawns to look for. One is in Stalber itself, and one is near the warehouse to the south. Neither of these locations are particularly reliable, however, as both have spawned less than 5 times out of the 30 matches. There are 3 additional spawns on the spiraling road to the north of Stalber, according to PUBGmap.io. I did not collect data for these locations, as the circle will almost always push you to the south or the west. As previously stated, we saw an average of 2.5 opponents per drop. We saw 6 opponents in 4 games and 0 opponents in 5, so there's quite a large swing. If you are closer to the beginning of the plane path, you tend to see more people dropping. We finished on average 44 out of 92, with 1 kill and 160 BP over an average of 18 minutes and 49 seconds. We made it out of Stalber 15 out of the 30 drops and had 5 top 10 finishes. Our best game we finished 2nd place with 4 kills, and our worst game we finished 94th with 0 kills. For our first weapon, we found the P92 and P1911 first 3 times. This was the most out of any weapon. Overall, we saw 9 pistols, 7 shotguns, 5 SMGs, 4 ARs, and 3 snipers first. There were also 2 games where we were killed before we could even pick up a weapon. Our loadout stats show we left the area or died with a shotgun 30% of the time, an SMG 17% of the time, an AR 80% of the time, and a sniper 37% of the time. If we look at only the 15 games we got out of Stalber, those numbers changed to 20% for shotguns, 13% for SMGs, 113% for ARs, and 53% for snipers. We were also able to pick up a 2, 4, or 8x scope 57% of the time. Bag, hat, and vest levels were all right around 1.5 average and jumped to just under 2 if we made it out alive. For meds, we saw 1.6 first aids, 0.8 painkillers, and 1.3 energy drinks on average. There were a total of 3 medkits through all 30 drops. For looting purposes, we're going to break Stalber into 3 locations: the research compound, the ruins, and the yellow houses. As a general rule of thumb, the research compound has the highest quality of loot spawns, but it is also where most of the population will land. I would not recommend landing at the yellow houses, as they have a low number of spawn points and will also typically have an enemy nearby. The ruins are a good middle ground. They don't necessarily have the highest quality of loot spawns, but there are a lot of spawn points. You will usually have time to check a few, as almost everybody lands in the other 2 spots. If you plan to land in the research compound, the 2-story building to the north is the best place. It has the highest amount and quality of spawns, but is also where most people like to land. The bottom floor of the building has about the same amount of spawns as the 2nd story and balcony combined. The next place I would check would be the 3 garages to the south of the area. These have the next highest loot quality and are fairly efficient, as you can run through them quickly. They can be hit or miss, however, so you may lose the RNG battle if you are racing someone else through them. Finally, the 3 smaller structures on the west side of the research compound have okay loot spawns, but can also be very hit or miss. If you're able to loot all 3, you should be able to come out with an SMG or shotgun, or at the very least a pistol, but they are somewhat difficult to loot quickly. You also need to watch out for opponents rushing you from the main building, as they will most likely outgear you, and these structures only have 1 entrance, so you can be easily trapped. Unless you have no other option, I do not recommend hitting any of the guard towers or the Harry Potter house. They do not have a reliable enough weapon spawn rate to check these until you've cleared the area, and you can easily become trapped. For the ruins, the loot is fairly random, so you'll be somewhat hit or miss throughout the entire area. However, I suggest these areas as they have a larger number of spawn locations. You have pretty good cover throughout the ruins, but should always mentally mark where your opponents drop so you know if you need to defend yourself from the research compound, yellow houses, or both. The yellow houses are pretty straightforward. The 3 one-room houses are pretty low on loot and really should be avoided unless you don't have any other option. The larger house to the north will have some sort of weapon in it more times than not, but is also not super reliable. This combined with the fact that people tend to drop here can lead to losing the RNG game and a lot of profanity. Stalber is a pretty cool and unique place to drop. You will typically see some early action, and if you get out alive, you will typically have a good loadout for mid to late game. Because of its location on the map, and the fact that there are only a few car spawns nearby, it is possible to have an extremely slow mid game where you're just running to catch up to a bad circle spawn. If you're playing for rank, however, this could be okay as it can get you into the top 10 consistently. What do you all think? Does Stalber sound like a good place to drop? Do you want to see more different stats in these videos moving forward? Let me know in the comment sections down below. Thanks!